Hi, everyone. Welcome to Full Disclosure, where I'm starting the summer off by working on my washboard abs.
That
Yeah.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we go right into vibe check because I'm not doing better than that, guys. So Tim, what do you got?
Well, yeah, I guess this is the spot where I usually say for the first segment of the Full Disclosure podcast, we're going to get a mortgage industry vibe check. But after that intro, boy, I just had to take a moment. Yeah, maybe it was just me picturing Jim with washboard abs.
I think is there a distinction between washboard ads and washboard ads? Are they the same thing or are they
I
different?
feel like washing is more thorough than washing. Washing is like, okay, you left some dirt behind you.
We'll find out what wash actually does and what it means. So.
Okay, perfect. We'll find out later.
Well, I will wait with bated breath. In the meantime, I think I'd love to get from you guys just every month we do this, a vibe check on the mortgage industry, what people are saying. We're not quite in the midst of conference season, but we are prepping for the next conference
We just
season.
came off, and I actually went to a conference. So.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Yeah. I was at MBA secondary for its last time in New York in a few years, unfortunately.
It's a loss.
Yeah, but be there in 3 years when it's back, hopefully. Hopefully not in Times Square. It's really interesting because one of the things I'm seeing in kind of that technology world, especially with mortgage technology, is AI makes everyone think that they can develop software. And you can, kind of. Like, there's things that you can do and things that you can't do.
Yeah.
So what it's creating is what I kind of call this massive land grab. So, like, lenders are developing their own software.
Yeah.
Some will work, some won't. We'll see, right? In the vendor space, LOS, POS, pricing engines, they're all trying to do a lot of the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Underwriting, right? AUS. So it's really interesting to see
the overall market.
Who's going to win, who's going to lose, how's that going to play out. As someone who's been developing and selling software for the last 13 years, I can tell you building the software is important. You have to do that, right? But like, there's a lot of other hard things that you have to do, which is like get it implemented, get it sold, support on an ongoing basis. So I think a fast development from an AI agent is only going to get you so far. So that's kind of my take on what's going to happen, but it's really interesting because I think a lot of people are going after the same things.
100%.
And I don't think we've ever been in touch with as many new LOSs as we are now.
Oh, there are so many new LOSs in the space right now. And, I think we're in a unique position because we are something that's like, we're very required for the mortgage process, right?
Yeah. And no one really wants to touch fees.
And no one wants to touch fees because it's annoying.
Because our product isn't the calculator, it's the guarantee.
Yeah, 100%.
Get along with them. And no one wants to guarantee anything that AI does at the moment.
Nope.
Except us.
Because we are lunatics.
That has kind of the ring of like a Ron Burgundy marketing slogan. We're kind of essential to the mortgage process.
Yeah, I mean, I was on, Hughes and I got the opportunity at the beginning of this month to present at California Innovators, and we showed off our new closing clarity tool. And I actually said on stage, I was like, we are the people that are crazy enough to guarantee our AI, which did get a gasp from the crowd a little bit. We got some murmurs happening. So Hughes also did the splits on stage. So we're going to see how that video comes out when we get it.
I'm excited. I was talking to someone, they were talking about their AI tool for the mortgage and saying how like they don't want to be the AI, right, in terms of like who gets blamed. And like with fees, we are the AI. That's literally our value, right? So we're happy to extend that to AI for fees.
100%. Yeah. And I think too, it's interesting to kind of see the space. I mean, we got to see a lot of tech demos, right? And I think almost all of them were either AI made. I heard the same AI voice, I think about 6 times. And we also really, everything had AI in it. And don't get me wrong, our presentation had AI in it as well, right? Yeah. So I'm not, I'm throwing rocks in a glass house here. But at the same time, I think there is a question of if your only product is AI, right? You're not stacking AI on an existing product or model. How long is that going to be in the market, right? Because we saw new tech vendors that I've never seen in this space before there. And, it is a good space for those types of vendors. But even, it was interesting to see like, someone would say, this lender uses us, right? And I would know someone at that lender and I message them. They don't.
Yeah.
Right. And
Or
so I
one
think
LO did.
one LO did. It was for this one-off project, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there is a need to be a little skeptical when new vendors pop up in the space. And I think it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that plays out, because we're at the beginning. We're in the Wild West, I think, of AI technology companies right now.
I think the other element too is people get drawn by the alert that things are quick, but that also, removes, a moat, as they call it. Like, oh, I can develop this in half a day with AI. Good. So can anyone else.
Yeah.
Right. So like what's stopped the next company from going and doing that exact same thing, right? That you've built right now. So I think that's why, we certainly do a lot with AI, but that is not our product, right? It enables our organization. It helps our organization. There's feature of our product that AI powers, but it's just not the end all be all of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
Question for you guys about this sort of mini AI boom that we're in, or this like kind of software boom where a lot of people are releasing new things. What do you think the vibe will be for existing companies like us, whether a privately held company or, other, like some of the other bigger guys? What do you think the vibe will be in terms of how the space equalizes, how we'll have to posture ourselves or position our message differently, or maybe not differently, given all of these new players that are coming into the space?
I think, purely from a vendor approval standpoint and all of that, we've already seen an increased level of scrutiny on contracting, and all of that,
on
right?
AI.
On AI specifically, or people using AI contract readers, which is really fun, because they all pick the same things every time that were never pulled in a contract before. It's hilarious to me. But to that point, right, I think it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how lenders, maybe approach AI, because I think, originally when AI underwriting first came out, people were really skeptical of it. And I think there's more confidence in it today than there was, 2 years ago. But there's still skepticism, right? And so whenever you release an AI tool, you're kind of bringing that skepticism with you into your product.
We didn't expect that a wave of skepticism would come into the mainstream from a papal encyclical either. Not a theology podcast, but I just think it's funny that made the headlines as big as it did and affected the conversation, seems nationally on AI.
I was just laughing at the Instagram you sent me of two people who were like, hey, you want to get margaritas and read this thoroughly? They're like, yes, we do.
Somehow, yes. And I think that's the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see, the Pope coming out on AI.
Well,
I don't think it was anyone's bingo card.
Wouldn't it be a lot weirder if the Pope was very pro AI? Right? Like, it's like, like, it's like they're humanists, right? Like, fine. Like, that makes sense. Like, we are pro-human and anti-machine. Got it.
Right. And his predecessor, Leo, is famously had bones to pick with, Rockefeller and had things to say about labor and human dignity. So let's shift from the Pope and Pope's past to housing affordability and things just kind of in this global situation we're in. Any thoughts there? Want to put words to that groan?
I mean, everything I see, like, the real estate market is so fragmented, right? Like, nationally, I think prices are coming down.
Yeah. So nationally, prices are raising less than the wages are increasing, right?
Yeah. But not in Philadelphia, not in Boston, not in Seattle. In a lot of markets, they're not. So some markets are, some markets aren't. So it's tricky in that regard. There, I know a lot of folks who are looking to buy or just bought, and it's a frustrating process with interest rates as high as they are and limited supply. And there was someone in my I think this was an op-ed in Housing Wire where they basically said like rate lock is the rate lock-in effect is a lifestyle lock-in effect where like if you actually have a 3% mortgage, it's an asset. It is an asset that you want to protect, right? Because it's lower than inflation. Like, it's actually a boon to you financially. And like, I have someone in my business group who his wife very much wants him to move into a bigger house, and he's doing fine. He's president of a company, but he's like, this is going to 3 to 4x our costs every month right now doing this, like, for a place that isn't 3 to 4x the size, right, or the price, but like, that's just what happens when you give up the
lower rate.
A rate like that. At the moment, in some cases, it makes sense. I mean, I traded a 3.8 for a 6.1. Still, a year and a half into that, excited to refi one of these days. But
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, right, I think it kind of speaks to you're also kind of making, at least myself, I kind of feel this is like you're making a gamble on your market, right? Of like, I bought in an area that is rapidly increasing. I expect it to continue to increase because of a lot of reasons in and around socioeconomically, right? And so I'm okay purchasing it at a higher interest rate because I know my home value is more likely to go up because of where I bought a home, right?
I mean, yes,
But you're
but it's
taking
not
a
like
risk.
it's not like you're gonna sell though. Like,
No, I'm
how
going
are
to sit
you
in 30
actually?
years. I'm like, am I going to be able to get a reverse mortgage out
Yeah.
of this?
Like, how are you
Basically.
going to take advantage? Like, let me.
You,
I want to push back on that. How are you going to take advantage of that rising price?
oh, absolutely not. And maybe I'll get a HELOC someday.
Well, I'm saying it'll help you refi, maybe, right? Or
Yeah.
and you'll get more.
I'll get my PMI
But,
off
like,
early.
when people like brag about how much their home price has gone up, it's like you're not selling. Like you're
Yeah,
not
you're not
realizing
gonna. You
that.
can't realize your
Maybe it
gains.
unlocks a little bit of equity, but I feel like it's
I'm just over here trying to get rid of my PMI early, Jim. Come on.
I don't think that's gonna happen until you refi. I have looked into that for us, and
I mean, I'm gonna have to refi out of it for sure, but I need my equity to be there.
yeah,
So we'll see. I'm not expecting it to be a quick win.
yeah,
I think that's important to note. I'm like, we're in it to win it for the long haul.
fair. I know. With hopefully, I lose 2 daycare payments and refi my mortgage. Those are the financial things I'm looking forward to in the coming years. So
the daycare payments will be the big win.
yeah, we're so about 15 months away from the first one. So
but bringing
Who's counting?
the 2 of them, it's a second mortgage between
It
the 2
is.
of them. It's yeah.
Bringing it back to affordability, though, I think overall, the things that are actually going to make a difference overall in the U.S., are those location-specific programs like we actually talked about in our regulatory rundown. Jim talked about a program in Rhode Island, and it's very specific, very targeted to a specific region. And I think those are the programs we're going to see more and more success with. Because at the end of the day, that's, as mentioned, right, housing in Northeast regions and Seattle and all of these different areas, right, are increasing at a rate that is dramatically higher than other parts of the country. And so those are the areas that actually have to address this conversation more for it to make a value over the entire, country.
Well, if you're clicking in at this timestamp, it's because you're one of the LodeStar SettleWise Illuminati and you want to know what the latest is with LodeStar and SettleWise. And lucky for you, we have just that. Jim, Alayna, you want to give us an update on all things LodeStar?
Oh, a lot, actually. We've seen a great adoption rate of our closing clarity tool. It seems like there's a lot of interest in it, and we're really starting to see lenders do their stress tests and all of that. We're adding it to our API, so expanding out our initial LOS. So we're really excited about that. And yeah. That's the big LodeStar update is closing clarity. We also
Is providing clarity.
We're making a bunch of updates to our website. I like to always think of like summer is a big time that I pull back my focus on sales and spend a lot more time on marketing, because at the end of the day, like everyone's on vacation and they don't want to hear from us.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a fact.
I feel like every year we're like, oh, it's going to be slow in the summer.
It's never slow in the summer.
Marketing comments. Then you're out half the time anyway, or something like that, right? So
yeah, there's a food service analogy that I've thought of a lot, where if you're working in food service or in like a coffee shop, the summer is the part of your shift where your manager's like, oh, nobody's buying coffee. Well, how about you pull out the fridge and sweep behind it? And you're like, we could just sit here. But I feel like at LodeStar, we're not the kind of company that just sits there. Like, we always got to pull.
We're not sitting there. We're pulling out the fridge.
Yeah.
We're cleaning behind it.
We're just dealing with the pile of crap that piled up when it was busy too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
Cleaning up after the rush.
Yeah, I wish we were so proactive that we were wiping behind the fridge, because we definitely, I don't think we're doing the business equivalent of that right now.
Excuse me, my Q2 goal is entirely sweeping from behind the fridge. And let me tell you, if you're looking for our API pricing, it's finally on the website, nice and clean. Go check that out. Sorry.
She's not wrong. I did it.
Then we're doing well on the SettleWise side. We recently promoted our ops manager, Shauna, to be the business director at SettleWise. Kind of better alignment with our overall team. which is really exciting. And then I think we've figured out how we kind of can leverage our LodeStar data to help unlock savings for lenders with SettleWise. So we're basically able to use data and figure out, where is your current pricing competitive or not? And by doing that, we, are acknowledging the fact that this is a price sensitive decision, title, especially on refis, relationship driven. We have the relationships, we have the data. We're not going to be the lowest price provider everywhere. No one is. But it allows us to, identify those places where it makes sense and we can help, ultimately make our lenders more competitive and save the borrower some money on a refi. So that's what we've been doing. And we've been seeing some good success for that. I actually got one of our first orders from one of those calls coming in right before this. So I was pumped for that.
Yeah, and I think it kind of speaks to one of the things we talked about as we were starting the title company was we don't need to win all the time, right? I think that's such a healthy mentality to come into it, because if you're trying to win all the time, it's gotta be stressful, man. And I'm just not here for that in some level.
Now we'll win some time.
Yeah, we'll win some of the
that's
time
fine.
and be totally good, right? And I think that's, I think very similar. It reminds me a lot of how MI companies act.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just want to be in your system, right? I don't care if, you choose me or not, but I just want to be there. That's how I kind of feel about SettleWise fees.
Yeah.
So I just want to be present. I'm there if you need me.
Well, before we conclude the SettleWise and LodeStar update section, I don't want to jump the gun on anybody's summer vacation, but as we look forward to fall conference season, is there any teasers that we can give in terms of what to expect from LodeStar out on the road?
Yeah. So we're definitely, as of right now, we're only confirmed for 2 shows in the fall. TMC, fall conference in Austin, will be there. And then, of course, our lovely event at MBA Annual. We are confirmed for Sunday night at 7:30, currently, unless NBA changes their own schedule. Which is always a fun little game there. As we start as soon as they end on Sunday night. So I'm not willing to give out our venue yet, but I will say that it is very cool. We're very excited. We have some amazing sponsors already signed up. Vesta, Priority Title, and Lender Toolkit, SettleWise, and LodeStar are all signed up. So we are still in the process. We have some open sponsorships left. We're looking to fill them. But they go fast, and we normally see this is the time of year that we start to see some movement, because people are done with their spring season and they're ready to start planning their fall. So
booked my trip.
Jim booked his badge already. He's ready to go.
Let's go.
And we're planning some exciting things as well. So if you're there, your client, partner, anything like that, please make time to meet with us, because we're going to have a really cool suite that we're excited about this year.
Oh, I don't have to stay in it this time.
You don't have to stay in it this time.
That's good.
Fun fact, Chicago suites are about half the cost of Vegas suites.
That's not surprising at all.
No.
Not even remotely surprising.
The room service is much less expensive too.
That is a dream that we all have.
Okay, bookworms, part 3 of the Full Disclosure podcast. It's time for Jim's book club.
I'm going to hand this to you.
I'm loving these Tim intros, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. I got a nice big rose coffee that just had the right vibe, and I feel like we're dialed in.
We're dialed in. We're ready to go.
Hey, Michael Barbaro right now.
I'm flattered, truly.
Okay.
We got this.
So I haven't read this recently. It's been a while, but I love this concept. It's the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. I had the book, I think, at some point, but we just taped it on here just to do that.
I'm 100% certain that you gave it to somebody.
Definitely.
It wasn't me, because otherwise it would be here.
But so people are more familiar with the 5 love languages,
100%.
Which are words of affirmation, gifts, physical touch, time, and acts of service. So important in relationships, and they apply in the workplace. Physical touch a little bit less. They do address it in the book. Usually it gets cut out, but it's a very important concept. Actually, we have our first leadership team summit with our new leadership team, so I'm dusting off this book because I'm having everyone take the assessment and go back over it, because it's very important to realize how the way that you want to be appreciated appreciated is generally the way you show appreciation.
Mhm.
And it's important to know because when folks are kind of speaking different languages of appreciation, it creates frustration. Like an example they give in the book is if, a boss really values words of affirmation, which is one of the most common, I think it is the most common language of
Of appreciation.
appreciation. So like, great, you're doing a good job. Right. So she's managing Martha. Martha has a big project. Martha values acts of service, right? So she wants help with the project, right? That's what she wants more than anything else. Then, her boss comes in and says, "Hey, Martha, good luck with everything. You always do such a great job. I know you can get this done," and walks out. Martha's pissed right now, right? Because she's like, he didn't do anything, right?
Yeah, he
just,
didn't help.
he's not helping me. He's not helping me the way I want to be helped. Right.
Mhm.
So I think that's why it's important because everyone has different ways they want to be appreciated. And I think understanding that, especially in like a small leadership team like we have, is important. So that was why I think this was one of the first things I went over at our very first leadership
It
summit,
is.
where I almost gave everyone COVID.
It's true.
Hopefully that won't happen this time. But we're going to go back over it in a group because I think it'll be good to revisit, curious everything changed on people's languages of appreciation, and will just be good to kind of be aware of.
Yeah.
So big fan of this, big fan of the concept. So strongly around that.
Yeah. It's a good thing nobody's love language was physical touch because they would have definitely gotten COVID that time.
Honestly,
For a handshake.
I skated by because I think the day before we had recorded a lending leaders and I was sitting we have some distance between us in the setup before, it was just like we were next to each other on camera.
Yeah.
I got lucky.
I remember I was on a call that morning and was like, I don't feel right. And then I walked to CVS right by our office, got a COVID test, locked my door, walked out with a mask and said, "Bye, guys." Yeah.
Yep. It was fun. And we already had people in
Was that
office.
vaccine too? I forget.
No.
I think it was post-vaccine
Yeah.
period. Because we didn't come back to office until after that.
Yeah.
When you think about it, crazy time. But yeah, no, we definitely, I think Kelsey, Ron, and I think you actually, because I think you were in the office, we were all like, well, I guess we're stuck and we've all been exposed. So anyone want to order Coyote Crossing for dinner?
Yeah.
And I told my wife, like, hey, why don't you take the kids to your parents' house for a couple days till this all blows over,
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah.
But yeah, you did. Yeah.
No one got COVID.
No one got COVID.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Yeah.
Top tier.
So
Well, it seems like that positive note is a very poor place to transition for something that's usually about pent-up aggression, airing rage. But for our fourth and final session here of the Full Disclosure podcast, almost said lending leaders.
I drew you back.
Yeah, I know. Maybe Full Disclosure's gears to grind or like being called the wrong name. So I will open up the floor to you. Alayna, I think you have something to start us
I
off.
do have something. So we recently purchased a home and I have had the joy of getting to know my neighbors. And my biggest thing is my neighbor directly behind me along the fence lets his dogs out and we'll just let them bark. Does not care. We're talking 30 minutes. And
what times a day?
any time of day. And so we'll put our dog out. We'll go out with our dog because we're still in that stage of we don't trust you enough. So we'll go and watch her and she's just staring at them and they're losing their minds against the fence. And, I would just say, as someone who is a dog owner, I also had my dog bark when we had a small little patio deck and I put her out there. We just brought her in every time and eventually she stopped barking. It was pretty straightforward. So please don't let your dogs go crazy in your backyard.
Yeah, Alayna's neighbor. Tell your dog to shut up.
Yeah. I don't think they're watching this.
I was going to say he watches. He definitely.
They definitely don't. I feel pretty safe in this space.
Our viewership is famously massive. So
Famously massive. I can confirm he does not work in this industry nor anywhere close to it. So I think we're okay.
Jim, do you have anything for us? Are you just zen this month?
My gears are pretty ground down right now. I don't have anything else. Full disclosure, it's summer now. Woo! Please like and subscribe.
Full disclosure, we know you're not working on Fridays.